Whoa. The news we have all just woken up to, nuts. Thomas Tuchel, or Tuchel, however you pronounce it, has just been sacked by Chelsea. I know I'm a little late to this. This was like, 7-8 hours ago? But I am an American, so I woke up pretty late. I was pretty late to the news, but wow, this is crazy. And in today's video, I'm just going to be giving you the reasons as to why Thomas Tuchel was sacked. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm going to give you my opinion at the end of it. But I am going to give context to the situation because I believe a lot of people are making it seem that he was only sacked because of the 6-7 games that he had and the loss to Dynamo that they just had in the Champions League. No, it's a little bit more than that. So let's get to it. So we all know how Chelsea are. This is nothing new. It is a bit surprising to me because I did believe since Abramovich was no longer the owner that we wouldn't see this happen so soon to a manager. But obviously the same people who were advising Abramovich are advising this new American owner. This is not just because of the bad start that Chelsea had this season. I believe this begins all the way starting from last season. Thomas Tuchel comes in under the same circumstances that he was fired. A bit different, but like I said, I'll give you my opinion at the end of this. So he comes in after Lampard, but was sacked for the same reasons. The team wasn't performing and in the certain amount of time that he was given. Tuchel comes in, wins the Champions League. What a start. He came in, he got his team from like 10th place back into the top 4, beat my team 3 times, one of them being in the Champions League final. It was all happy days for Chelsea, but then it's that next season where I believe all this began. Next season he comes in, doesn't really put up much of a title challenge, loses 2 finals to Liverpool, and you can still say it was somewhat of a successful season because he did get 2 trophies, but let's be real here. The only reason why Chelsea had somewhat of a successful season last year is because they made top 4 and they won 2 trophies. But the only reason why they got to those 2 trophies is because they were still riding off the high off of that first half of the season that Tuchel had. The only reason why Chelsea were somewhat successful last year is because of what they did in the previous season, right? Because yes, it is super cool to win the Supercopa. It is super cool to win the Club World Cup. But let's be real here. The only reason why it's cool is because the reason why you're there is because you won the Champions League, right? Like, that's the only reason why I want to be in those tournaments is because I want to see my team finally win that European trophy so that we can compete in these fun tournaments like the Supercopa final or the Club World Cup. But let's be real, it's not that hard to win. This is the best team from Europe, the best continent in football. South America, North America, Asia, Africa, they're not really competing with these European teams. It's honestly not that hard to win the World Cup. And then when it comes to the Supercopa, you're going against a team that won a tournament because they weren't able to get into the tournament you just won. So like I said, not that difficult. But I don't want to discredit it. You still have to show up. You still have to be a decent side, Frankfurt, and they did. And good on them. They made top 4. But in Chelsea standards, top 4 isn't good enough. You have to compete for every single tournament, and they didn't. When it came to the Premier League, they were far off of it. I know it's harsh to say because they're going up against great sides in Manchester City and Liverpool, but I would say I am expecting more of a challenge when it comes to Chelsea. And the title challenge is not acceptable in terms of Chelsea's standards. Now, not only did he not compete in the Premier League, but then he gets himself to 2 domestic tournament finals, loses them both to the exact same team in the exact same fashion. And I don't believe losing in PKs has anything to really say about your team, but it's the fact that they faced Liverpool twice, both games somewhat dominated, and still weren't able to pull it off. That's another hit on Tuchel's record. So then he ends that season only winning 2 trophies, 2 of them being the only reason why he got there is because of what he did last season, loses 2 finals to the exact same team in the same way, and didn't compete in the Premier League. Now in the Champions League, I thought they did decent. I thought they did well, right? I mean, we can't really put blame on him in the Champions League because he was just another victim of Real Madrid's legacy in that tournament. So not too much blame there. But then now he comes into this next season, having spent almost 300 million on a new defense, and they're yet still conceding more goals than they had when Tuchel first came in. And we can look at the stats, right? I mean, there's something I'm looking at here. In his first 50 games, he only conceded 24 goals. In his last 50 games, he conceded 53, so double than what he was conceding earlier. If you look at his record in the first 50 games, he won 32, 11 draws, 7 losses, 81 scored, 24 conceded. If you look at his last 50 games, 28 wins, 13 draws, 9 losses, scored 87 but conceded 53. So kind of some of the same stats I read earlier. There was obviously a decline. And what this tells me is that Chelsea's owners have looked at this and thought to himself, all right, that new manager high is now over. He's showing no improvement. Get rid of him. And that's exactly what Chelsea did. Now, let me give you guys my opinion on the matter and if I believe this was the right decision. I'm just going to be straightforward with it. No, I do not believe this was the right decision. I believe this was an absolute stab in the back to Tuchel. I feel like this was a very brainless decision from Chelsea, and they haven't really covered themselves in glory here. Now, like I said before, this is nothing new from Chelsea. We've seen Chelsea do this many times, but the difference in this situation between, let's say, the last situation, like we brought up Lampard earlier, Lampard comes in, and the only reason why he came in as Chelsea manager is, let's be real here, is because of his name. It wasn't because he was a proven manager. He had done so many good things as a manager. No, it was just because he was a Chelsea legend. They thought that they could have a story here. They bring him in, and he doesn't perform like they wanted to do in the amount of time that they give him. Then Tuchel comes in, wins them the Champions League. Happy days. But there's a difference between Lampard and Tuchel. Lampard was never a proven manager. Tuchel came into this Chelsea side as already, in my book, a top 5, if not a top 3 manager in the world. He earned my respect when he got that PSG side to a Champions League final. Not only did he do that, but he honestly should have won them the Champions League final, right? They got very unlucky not to get it. I thought they were dominant in the game. It didn't end up their way, but he still got in there. And anybody who can get that PSG side, that disgraceful PSG side with some of the worst mentality players that I've seen on a team, the fact that he was able to gather them to get them to a Champions League final and almost win it. Now, I know PSG is a bit different now, but that PSG side that he had at that moment was disgraceful. Was absolutely disgraceful. And the fact that he got into a final, fell out with the team, then moved on to a Chelsea side who I believe who had a lot less talent than PSG side, and got them to win the Champions League final. That is insane. And he earned my respect before coming to Chelsea. But then when he came into Chelsea, beat my team 3 times, got his team back in the top 4, got him competing in the Champions League again. Not only competing in the Champions League again, but actually winning it yet again when all the odds were against him, was absolutely remarkable. And I can't believe this is how Chelsea respond. And this is what Chelsea give back to him after all those things he did. It's crazy to me. It's shocking and it's not shocking, right? It's not shocking because of those reasons that I just gave you. This is nothing new from Chelsea. They've been known to do things like this, but this is just different circumstances, right? I know Chelsea have been known to do this, and it's actually the reason why they've been so successful recently. This is not the same manager that we've seen in the previous managers that they had. Thomas Tuchel was a top 5, if not a top 3 manager in the world. And whoever they bring in, I don't know if they can be as good as Thomas Tuchel won. Another reason why I believe Tuchel was fired is because I fully believe that Chelsea already had their backup manager picked out and ready to go, because there's no way you sack a manager like Thomas Tuchel without having some reinforcement to it. So it's looking like Graham Potter is going to be that guy. Congratulations to Graham Potter. He's getting that big job, which I would say he deserves, right? He's been one of the best managers in the Premier League with this Brighton side, and what he's done with this Brighton side is absolutely insane. So sorry to you Brighton fans. It's looking like your season may not be as good as it looked like it was going to be. Is this the right decision for Graham Potter? For him, I think it's obviously a no-brainer, right? This is what he's been working for. But is this the right decision for Chelsea? I don't have those answers yet. I might make another video. If this signing of Graham Potter is confirmed, then I might make a video on that. But Chelsea fans, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this sacking. How are you guys feeling about it? I know most Chelsea fans aren't happy about it. There's only 2 groups of people that I know are happy about it. One being Rory, which if you don't know who he is, check him out. He has some very interesting takes on this game. He's a very interesting guy. And then Christian Pulisic fans, right? Christian Pulisic dick riders who for some reason believe that Pulisic is the answer to Chelsea's problems. But yeah, other than that, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys soon.